At Manhattan International Hospital, Zhang Mingliang looked at self in the mirror and didn't know whether to cry or laugh. The face in the mirror was both familiar and unfamiliar. Familiar because I can see this face on my mobile phone screen every day, unfamiliar because I have never been so handsome in the past 2 decades. Even though many days have passed, he still feels like he is in a dream. This is crossing. In the previous life, I had read many time travel novels at home, and it was not difficult to accept all of them. From waking up in the early morning until now, the chaotic thoughts have gradually become clear. He came to New York in 2010 from the magic capital on the other side of the Pacific Ocean 10 years later, to be precise, Manhattan. Fortunately, this body is at least Chinese, and the Chinese name is Zhang Mingliang, and the English name is Isaac. With a height of about 183 centimeters, his appearance is far better than his previous self. Zhang Mingliang's net worth is very good. His grandfather Zhang Duo is a well-known Chinese lawyer in the United States. His name was included in the legal team of the Simpson murder case. His father Zhang Shixiao is a very discerning investor. The operation has saved a huge amount of wealth, and the investment style is even more eclectic. The property market, stocks, currencies, crude oil, original stocks in the IT industry, and even on the other side of the ocean, he also invested in a film and television company. Counting 7, 7, 8, 8, the total net worth exceeds 10 digits. For Zhang Mingliang, this time travel was always a bit of an accident, but it was a profit. With a better body, a better family background, and a better platform, compared with other brothers who have crossed over, it saves him the time to work hard to accumulate wealth, and he can directly start to disrupt the situation. When Zhang Mingliang finally got used to his new identity, he was finally discharged from the hospital. Looking at this lively and vigorous man in front of him, he seemed to wish for a handsome young man who ran 50 meters back and forth in the hospital corridor. The attending doctor tugged his tongue in disbelief, and complained that this guy would pretend to be crazy when he just entered the hospital, just like the real thing. However, it was because of Zhang Mingliang's crazy symptoms a few days ago that he received a large amount of medical fees. After leaving the hospital, Zhang Mingliang's first thing was to see his cheap dad Zhang Shixiao. The time was about 8 o'clock for dinner, and Zhang Shixiao was only free during that time. "Dad, I need your support. I'm going to make the most important decision in my life now." Hearing his son's serious words, Zhang Shixiao put down his work and said with a smile, "The most important decision in life, are you going to propose to a certain girl?" Although Jiang's family has already taken root in the United States, Zhang Mingliang's grandmother and mother are both pure Chinese, so they are essentially Chinese families with traditional family values, and they pay more attention to family affection and relatives. "Dad, I want to make an investment. The owner of the New Jersey Nets, Bruce Ratner, intends to sell the team. I have an idea to take over this team. I like sports very much. I think you support my decision." Hearing Zhang Mingliang express his thoughts, Zhang Shixiao was taken aback and said, "You mean, you want to buy the Nets and be the boss?" "Yes. I think the sports industry is worth investing in. The New Jersey Nets will move to New York in a few years. The increase in market value is obvious to the naked eye, and I have the confidence to make some achievements." Zhang Mingliang insisted. Zhang Mingliang, who came from a high-class society, doesn't need to worry about his livelihood. As a traveler, he also has a lot of opportunities to become rich and rich. But since you don't have to worry about eating and drinking, you must do something that interests you, especially when Zhang Mingliang saw that the Nets were selling and he had the opportunity to take over, his thoughts were even stronger. "In the past life, I was a sports fan. In this life, I had the opportunity to participate as a boss, but I missed it. What is the difference between this TMD and wearing Lu Bulletin but not Diao Chan? And from the perspective of a traveler, investing in the Nets is also a surefire deal. In the previous life, after Prokhorov bought the Nets, the results were terrible, but relying on the development of the land around the Barclays center of gravity, as well as the increase in the market value of the Nets' relocation to New York, they still made a lot of money. Zhang Mingliang went to the Mink without hesitation. He chose to invest. Zhang Shixiao thought about it and said, I need to find someone to do an evaluation. Even if it is a son, Zhang Shixiao cannot let Zhang Shixiao change his principles of doing things and not fight uncertain battles. In the 0910 season, the New Jersey Nets set a negative record. Starting from the first game of the season, they lost all 18 games in a row, setting the worst opening season record since the establishment of the NBA. It was not until the 19th game that they beat Xia by 6 points. Lot Bobcats won the first victory of the season. As of now, the New Jersey Nets have only won 7 games. If they fail to win 3 games in the next 12 games, it will become a single season in NBA history. The team with the worst performance. In terms of revenue, because the team has announced that it will move to New York in 2012 or 2013, the team has encountered boycotts from fans, poor market and poor results, and advertisers are naturally reluctant. Investment. The amount of losses reached more than 20 million, the accumulated debt of the team exceeded 100 million, and Bruce Ratner's personal financial situation also had problems and was unable to fill the vacancy, leading him to have proposed a sale to the NBA League the team's wishes. In the office, Zhang Shixiao's personal financial director Selena reported her findings to Zhang Shixiao. Considering the Barclays Center project currently under construction, my personal valuation of the Nets is $6 billion. What's worse than the performance is the New Jersey Nets business situation. This season, the team's average attendance is only 11,574 people, and the average ticket price is only $37.40, both of which are among all NBA teams. All are the lowest. Local fans have no desire to go to the ball. In terms of the arrangement of live broadcasts in the United States, the Nets have arranged 5 games this season, but after this nightmare season, I am afraid it is only rigid. The minimum standard of 2 games, right? The commercial value of the team will be even more dismal. Will, another assistant of Zhang Shixiao, gave his opinion. It is recognized that NBA teams make money and preserve value. The Nets in New Jersey should not be so bad in terms of city size and economic conditions. Bruce Ratner can actually manage the team like this. You read www.youcanshu.com is also considered a bit of a skill. So, is your opinion against this acquisition? Zhang Shixiao wanted to satisfy his son's wishes, but he trusted these 2 right-hand men more. Boss, I'm just stating the facts. There's a lot of risk involved with a Nets acquisition. It's very likely, very likely, until 2013, the New Jersey market will be so bad that no big-name player will join. The team's reputation has been declining all the way, and finally came to New York with a state of being in a state of waste. To compete for the market with so many teams from the 4 major leagues, everything is really not that easy. Will's statement is not alarmist. It is true that New York has the largest market, but it also has the most teams competing for the market. The NFL has the New York Giants and the New York Jets, the MLB has the New York Yankees and the New York Mets, the NHL has the New York Rangers and the New York Islanders, and the NBA has the New York Knicks. In addition to the Nets who will enter New York in 2013, 8 teams will compete for the market. There must be winners and losers. In terms of the current decline of the Nets, it is too difficult. Unless LeBron James landed in New Jersey in free agency in 2010, it will be difficult for others to reverse the Nets' decline in the next 2 to 3 years. There are a total of 30 teams in the league. In terms of the possibility of getting LeBron James, the Nets may be more hopeful than the Bucks, Jazz, and Thunder, probably ranked 27th. I see. Zhang Shixiao nodded, then waved to the 2 assistants to leave first, and he still needed to think about it. The opinions of the 2 assistants are very important, but Zhang Shixiao has been in the shopping mall for so many years, and he often has his own opinions. Objectively speaking, the current situation of the Nets is really not optimistic. From the perspective of an NBA team, this team has no star players to support it, loses the support of fans, and has almost zero attraction to big-name players. Bruce Ratner just didn't see much hope, so he was willing to put forward the idea of selling the Nets to the league at this time. But in Zhang Shixiao's view, some competitive sports are unpredictable. Not only refers to the performance on the field, but also represents the success or failure of the business. The Nets ball market has deteriorated. Although the team's imminent relocation to New York will cause harm to New Jersey fans, isn't it responsible for the team's dismal record? If through reasonable operation, the team's poor record can be reversed, is the Nets really that bad? And New York's attraction to Zhang Shixiao is another factor in his heart. In response to the acquisition of the Nets, I have submitted a bidding application to the NBA League, and I have also contacted Deloitte to evaluate the current situation of the Nets. It is estimated that the results will be available in 2 weeks. Back home, Zhang Shixiao sent his son called to the study room and informed him of his decision. "Thank you, Dad." Zhang Mingliang's joy was beyond words. A live-action basketball manager game? Zhang Mingliang has seen that he has left his name in the history of the NBA, at least the history of the Nets. With his identity and vision as a traveler, even if the Nets do not have any attraction to introduce any big names this summer, it is enough to make this team a team that can hit the playoffs. After all, the formation of Miami's Big Three is a huge blow to the Eastern Conference. In history, this is also the most exaggerated years when the West is strong and the East is weak. In addition to the Pacers, Bulls, Celtics, and even many teams have given up hope of overthrowing the Heat's domination. But I'm still hesitating about whether to let you run the business. Immediately afterwards, Zhang Shixiao poured a pot of cold water on Zhang Mingliang. "Dad! Listen to me." Zhang Shixiao stretched out his hand to suppress his son's argument. "Rebuilding a team is not as easy as you think. I am confident that as long as I take the lead, the team will soon be able to see improvement." Zhang Mingliang said confidently. "In the United States, you have to have self-confidence. The more arrogant you are within a reasonable range, the better. If you are humble, you will think you have no confidence. Of course, I'll give you the right. But I only allow you to fail for 1 season. Before 2012, if the team still can't make the playoffs, then you will abdicate and make up for it." This has always been what Zhang Shixiao told Zhang Mingliang. Planning, allowing him to fail once. Dad's promise obviously gave Zhang Mingliang more confidence. With the advantage of returning from time travel, if you can't manage a team well for 2 years, what face is written into the novel together with the other children of destiny who traveled through the plane? If the team cannot enter the playoffs in 2 years, then I will listen to you in the future. I will do whatever you ask me to do. From this sentence, Zhang Mingliang's fate is also closely linked with the fate of the Nets. Unlike ordinary industrial transactions, which are simply negotiated by the buyer and the seller, the acquisition of an NBA team has a lot more interests in the middle. Buying an NBA team is usually divided into 4 steps: NBA board vote, team value evaluation, transaction estimate, and buyer qualification review. According to the relevant regulations of the NBA, the transfer of a team must be approved by the board of directors. The owners of the other 29 teams hold 1 vote and receive at least 22 affirmative votes before proceeding to the next transfer procedure. After Zhang Shixiao officially launched the acquisition plan for the Nets, the league will organize this acquisition case and organize a meeting of the owners of the other 29 teams to discuss this matter. 30 teams and 30 owners in the league compete for each other on the court, but in fact they are partners in operation. The commercial success of American sports leagues is that, rather than attacking each other and weakening their opponents, they prefer to have strong partners to join in and make the pie bigger. Zhang Shixiao is well known in the investment community, and his financial situation is good, and he has great hopes of passing the vote of the council. Especially, when Zhang Shixiao's main competitor is Prokhorov, a rich man from Russia, he is even more dominant. Americans' rejection of Russians is inherent. Once the acquisition was launched, Zhang Mingliang himself began to study the nets. There is a saying that the three armies have not moved, the food and grass will go first, and preparations will be made in advance, so that you can control everything in your own hands at the beginning of taking over. Zhang Mingliang found out the lineup of the nets this season. Looking at the players above, he couldn't help feeling emotional. Really, fortunately, he is a professional fan, not the kind of star honey who only chases stars. Otherwise, in this list, I know players can count on one hand. The team's roster is as follows: PG, Devin Harris, 2 years, $18 million, Chris Quinn, expired, SG, Kenyon Dooling, expired contract, Chris Douglas Roberts, team option, Toyer, $2.1 million, Courtney Lee, team option, Toyer, $4.5 million, SF, Trenton Hassel, expired contract, Jarvis Hayes, expired contract, Bobby Simmons, 1-year contract of $9.5 million, Teresa Williams, 1+2, team options, $6.9 million, PF, Yi Jianlian, 1 year, $3 million, Najera, expired contract, Tony Batty. Expired contract, Josh Boone, expired contract, C. Brooke Lopez, 2 years, $7.2 million, you're welcome. In this lineup, apart from Lopez and Courtney Lee, at most one Devin Harris, who can only play well in Dallas, can still be used. The other players are in other balls. The team can only say that it is the level of the drinking fountain. It may be acceptable to have 2 or 3 players like this on a team, and a whole team is full of players of this level, and the bottom of the league is a matter of course. As a point guard, Quinn definitely can't renew his contract. In this year's draft, Jeremy Lin, a Chinese point guard, will participate in the draft. Although he was eventually defeated, he finally got a contract from the Warriors. As a substitute, it is better to take care of his compatriots. From the perspective of development, Jeremy Lin is indeed worth investing in. If Jeremy Lin can show a good performance, it is not impossible to be promoted to the second point guard position. As for Harris, if it can be used as a bargaining chip to trade to a suitable candidate, then trade, otherwise, let's use it first. Shooting guard, Du Lin is definitely going to leave. Zhang Mingliang does not plan to keep Roberts. There are some practical players in this position, whether it is the draft or the free agency market, and Courtney Lee guarantees the bottom line, it should be good. The 2 striker positions are the hardest hit areas for the team. The strength of the striker players is weak, and they are often beaten by opponents, which is the main reason for the collapse of the New Jersey Nets' performance. This position is the focus of the Nets' summer reinforcement. Even if James can't come, at least a name with enough weight must be introduced. For example, in the draft, George and Hayward are both available. As a compatriot, Yi Jianlian is a difficult problem for Zhang Mingliang to deal with. After all, he is a Chinese in his heart. Zhang Mingliang definitely hopes to give Yi Jianlian a chance to fully improve in the NBA, improve his level, and win glory for the country. But the reality is that although he has played a good 12+7 this season, his 42% shooting percentage as an insider and his vitreous physique, who only played 52 games with frequent injuries, is unacceptable for any manager. The lack of left-hand ball technique leads to a single offensive line, and the characteristics such as excessively long shot time and easy interference are also objective. Even adding his own emotional factors, Zhang Mingliang can only guarantee to keep him in the team and serve as a substitute insider. If he has any dissatisfaction, then after the 1-year contract expires, he can talk about it, and if he doesn't agree, he will break up. There is no suspense in the center position. Brooke Lopez is already the boss of the Nets. A team player with solid offensive skills, good sense of position, and rebounds for teammates is not perfect, but it is definitely the treasure of the team at the moment. Thinking about it, Zhang Mingliang suddenly remembered that he hadn't figured out who would be the head coach. He is the management. Reading www. Although yuganshu.com knows a lot more about the future than everyone else, it is just a fan after all. Different players adapt to different styles of play, and the key depends on the coach's preferences. Popovich? Carlisle? Rivers? Forget it, the precedent for a draft pick for a head coach only started in 2014. And the Nets' draft picks are treasures. Besides, even if he takes out the draft pick, these guys won't agree to come over as long as they don't mind. They're all on a championship team. Cole? He is not the head coach now, he is the general manager and management of the Suns. More money and less to stay close to home, let alone come to the Nets. Old Coach K? He has never logged into the NBA all his life, betting the future of the Nets on him. Zhang Mingliang is a little worried. College coach, college coach. Thinking of a college coach, Zhang Mingliang suddenly thought of a person, a name that future Nets fans would not want to see, Brad Stevens. This coach has a level of skill. Whether it is on-the-spot tactics or cultivating newcomers, he is very good. The data proves that during Stevens' time coaching the Celtics were the best team in the league to play key balls, no one. There has not been a top 10 star in the league for a long time. Why did the Celtics have such a dazzling performance in this superstar-exclusive time? The answer lies in Stevens' tactics. As for employing people, whether it is Evan Turner, who is a retro and anti-time trend, or Thomas, who has a natural flaw in height and is the last in the league in defensive efficiency, he has played a career masterpiece under Stevens. One from pioneering the player got the biggest contract of his career, one entered the second team of the league's best team, and became the strongest 175 on the surface according to word of mouth among fans. The more Zhang Mingliang thought about it, the more suitable he felt, and he called out excitedly, "I'll find him." Under the orderly operation of the staff, Zhang Shixiao's acquisition plan for the New Jersey Nets is advancing in an orderly manner. First, the board of directors voted by the owners of 29 NBA teams. The acquisition plan received 26 votes in favor, 3 abstentions, and 0 votes. The result against it is passed. After successfully passing this level, the negotiations between Zhang Shixiao and the current owner of the Nets, Bruce Ratner, officially began. The 3 steps of team value evaluation, transaction situation estimation and buyer qualification review are carried out at the same time. The first is the valuation of the New Jersey Nets. The most important of these is the Barclays Center, a new ultra-luxurious gym built by the Nets in Brooklyn. Brooklyn is not a wealthy area in New York, but it is also the most populous area in the 5 boroughs of New York, with a total of 2.5 million the population, with nicknames such as the City of Trees, the City of Homes and the City of Churches, shows its unique charm. Compared with Manhattan, the capital of the world on the other side, it has a more rustic atmosphere, the environment is more livable, and the appreciation potential is relatively large. The league entrusted Deloitte of the Big Four accounting firms to be responsible for this evaluation and review. After a 12-week period, Deloitte gave its own valuation. Combining various factors, the New Jersey Nets valuation is roughly around $840 million. The price has been roughly concluded, and the next step is the specific sale of the equity. From Bruce Ratner's point of view, he definitely wants to sell part of it first, and then take a look at the development of the Nets after arriving in New York, and then take the rest. He is not a fool. Of course, he knows that the Nets' move to New York has a lot to do. How critical! However, what Bruce Ratner thought, Zhang Shixiao could also see it. Beside him, Zhang Mingliang kept reminding his father that even if he bleeds a little more now, he must keep the Nets in his pocket. The shopping mall is like a battlefield. During the negotiation process of this acquisition, Zhang Mingliang finally realized this sentence. The negotiators on both sides were at each other's throats and refused to give in to each other. Anything that was not rigorous in their words could be caught by the other side and made a big fuss. Fortunately, the two sides are in the same general direction, which is to facilitate the conclusion of this transaction. This commonality ensures the advancement of the acquisition. News about the new progress of the acquisition is reported almost every day. Fans who are concerned about the NBA, especially Nets fans, their mood also fluctuated with the progress of the acquisition. Because of the imminent relocation to New York, the mood of local New Jersey fans is complicated. The Chinese fans far away on the other side of the ocean paid great attention to this transaction because of the existence of the Nets player Yi Jianlian and the identity of Zhang Shixiao as a wealthy Chinese businessman, and looked forward to it very much. Zhang Shixiao Nets acquisition case is progressing rapidly. Chinese power shines in NBA. The new owner of the Nets revealed privately, "If I buy the Nets, I will build a team around the UAE shock. The Great Wall of China gathers with the Nets. Yao Ming and Yi Jianlian will help the Nets take off whether it is extremely peaceful, whether the Nets welcomes a new student. We'll see next week." A variety of news floods the home pages of major sports media. In this era of eyeball economy, the Nets have earned the highest attention in China. These data fall in the eyes of NBA President David Stern, who attaches great importance to the Chinese market, and he is also delighted. The seeding, operation, flowering and results of the NBA in the Chinese market are all driven by him. Seeing that the NBA has become an indispensable spice in the life of Chinese teenagers at this stage, the news of James and Kobe Bryant can fill their conversations. Stern is proud of what he has achieved. And a Chinese owner is willing to take over the mess of the Nets, obviously then Prokhorov's appetite for Stern. President, the Nets acquisition case has been discussed. After the final details are dealt with, a formal contract can be signed and announced to the public. A tall, thin bald head walked into Stern's office and asked Stern. "Stern, report on the latest progress." "Okay. We have another powerful partner." Stern smiled, "Arrange a meeting with Zhang Shixiao. We can arrange the China Games." The NBA China Games refers to the annual preseason games of the NBA, where two teams will be arranged to go to China. Under normal circumstances, it will be the most popular team in the NBA in China. It was the Rockets before, but Yao Ming was affected by injuries in the past 2 years and it was difficult to attend. In 2008, the Bucks, where Yi Jianlian was located, were arranged. Who would have thought that Yi Jianlian would be traded after the arrangement was made, which caught Stern by surprise. This year, Zhang Shixiao's acquisition of the Nets has been hotly debated in Huaxia, and Stern would be a ghost if he did not arrange for the Nets. The NBA was founded on June 6, 1946, and its headquarters is located in the Olympic Tower at 645 Fifth Avenue in New York City. Zhang Shixiao, Zhang Mingliang, and his son took their Rolls-Royce and slowly parked to the parking area in the Olympia Tower. I got out of the car and walked into the building, and saw the huge NBA sign not far away. 15 minutes later, in a conference room, Zhang Mingliang first met David Stern, who before could only be seen on TV. What should I say? I was not very excited. After transmigrating to Zhang Mingliang's body, although his own consciousness is the leading factor, the knowledge, life habits, and different thinking patterns that this body has before also affects him, such as the characteristic of not being surprised when he sees famous people. Nice to meet you, Mr. Zhang Shixiao. Dear Mr. David Stern, hello. Thank you very much for your help in the acquisition process. Zhang Shixiao held Stern's hand while speaking in Chinese, and looked at Zhang Mingliang. This it's my son Zhang Mingliang, he's a basketball fan. Hello. The moment he saw Zhang Mingliang, Stern's eyes lit up and shook hands with him. The image is good, push him out. Reading www.yuyuganshu.com. NBA China game has another interesting point. Next, let him help me take care of the New Jersey Nets for the time being. Zhang Shixiao said. After the two parties were seated, Stern's assistant Angela introduced to Zhang Shixiao, Zhang Mingliang, and his son the mechanism and precautions of NBA operation. The NBA is a league made up of 30 teams, and it is also a company. Because the owners of each team are powerful and prestigious figures in the United States, strict rules are needed to manage them. Everyone needs to work within established rules. Acquiring the New Jersey Nets and entering the NBA must be the right decision for you. I also hope that you will manage your business well. From my personal point of view, I hope our members can be very stable. After explaining the rules, Stern told Zhang Shixiao expressed friendship. I am also very optimistic about the prospects of the NBA. The NBA has a very strong fan base in the United States and China, the two largest markets in the world, and no other sports league can be compared. On Stern's point, he is most proud of his great achievements in opening up the Chinese market. Next we can talk about the NBA China Games. I plan to arrange for the Nets to play in the China Games this fall. To be honest, Zhang Mingliang had thought about this arrangement before, and was looking forward to this happening. He wanted to say something, but was stopped by Zhang Shixiao's small gesture. Expanding the market for the league is an obligation that every team should undertake. We will keep Yi Jianlian in the team to ensure the ideal result of the China Games. Stern's wrinkled face showed a smile again. Talking to a smart person is easy. I hope you all go well in the NBA. On the morning of May 26, 2010, the mood of the entire NBA was mobilized by a piece of news from the Nets. Zhang Shixiao, a Chinese-American businessman, purchased a 55% stake in the Nets and a 50% stake in the Barclays Center, a new arena built by the Nets in New York, for $430 million. There is a clause in the contract. Zhang Shixiao can buy the remaining equity for $450 million before the 2001-2013 season. Shortly after the NBA officially announced the news, Yahoo Sports and ESPN also reported on the matter. As two well-connected media groups, the two broke the news of the Nets' equity transfer, and also broke the news about the reorganization of the Nets management, including Nets general manager Van de Waeg, head coach Everest. For many staff members, including Johnson, their days in the Nets are basically over. For Nets fans, 2 decades later, it was voted the greatest day in franchise history, more than worth the team's first NBA championship. At 9 o'clock in the morning, in the Nets press conference room, under the guidance of team press officers Tracy and Van de Waeg next to him, Zhang Mingliang, wearing a Nets jersey with his name on it, walked in. The flashlights of the entire conference site flashed in unison. The first to speak was Van de Waeg. At this moment, he was still the general manager of the team and announced that the team's equity had been transferred. Mr. Bruce Ratner transferred some of the shares he held in the Nets to Mr. Zhang Shixiao. Mr. Zhang Shixiao he will become the largest shareholder of the team, and he will also step down from the position of general manager of the team and be taken over by Mr. Zhang Mingliang. Next, please ask questions from the reporters. Tracy said. In addition to the finals in full swing, the acquisition of the New Jersey Nets affects the hearts of most media practitioners. As soon as Tracy said that, he started to ask questions, and all the reporters raised their hands. Later, Tracy asked the first reporter to ask a question, and a white woman in her 30s stood up. "Hello, I'm a reporter from the New Jersey Globe. First of all, congratulations to Mr. Zhang Shixiao for completing the report against the Nets acquisitions. What I want to ask is, the team has a terrible record this season, which means that the management needs to do a lot of work to turn the team around. What are your plans for the summer? Before I officially took over the Nets, I did a lot of research with my team. Of course we will make adjustments for the team. As for how to build the team, I think there is still a period of time for me to prepare. One thing I can assurance to fans that in the new season you will see a brand new Nets team, and this team will bring fans a different experience." After the local reporter gave her face, Tracy ordered a second reporter to ask, and a black male stood up and asked, "Hello, I'm a reporter for ESPN. We've all got the news, after the acquisition is over. After that, the team will have a reorganization of the management. Does it mean that you are dissatisfied with the operation of the previous management? How will the composition of the team's new management be composed?" This question was a bit sharp. Zhang Mingliang looked at the other party and felt a little dissatisfied. "Mr. Van de Weg, I am very grateful for his hard work for the Nets. This job is not as easy as the outside world thinks. Maybe his grades are not so good, but this is not one person's responsibility. We need us everyone on the team, including me, come together to turn the team around. Hope he can have a happy vacation and then start again. Coach Avery Johnson, I am very grateful to him for taking over the team at a time of crisis. There is an old saying in China that when you accept the defeat, it is to describe his character. However, we have some disagreements about the future direction of the team, and we broke up. It's not that either of us has a problem, it's just that we don't fit. Hopefully he can find his next job soon." Zhang Mingliang expressed his reluctance to several employees who had been fired by him, but as for the candidates for the new management, although he already had a goal in mind, he never mentioned it. The Nets currently have a lot of cap space. Do you have the heart to pursue superstars such as LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Amra Ostoudemire in the free market? A reporter from the New York Times can say that they dug a hole for Zhang Mingliang. In the league, management or team owners are prohibited from publicly discussing player transfers. LeBron, Dwayne, and Amra are all very good players. I will like to use them in 2K. Zhang Mingliang jumped over this pit with the help of the game. Next, the reporter asked a variety of questions, and Zhang Mingliang answered them one by one. Walking out of the press conference room of the Prudential Center, Nets home court, Zhang Mingliang looked up at the team flag flying in the sky and said in his heart, "The road ahead is still long." Butler University, located in Indiana in the Midwest of the United States, has a beautiful environment and is very close to downtown Indianapolis. Zhang Mingliang had already contacted Stevens through some connections before he came to board the plane. Stevens should be waiting for him in the hotel in front of him now. When I entered the hotel cafe, I saw Stevens waiting for me in the corner. Compared with Stevens, who will be called the young coach in the future, he is more fresh now. There has never been such a young head coach in an NBA team. Zhang Mingliang saluted Stevens in the distance and walked straight over. "Is that Coach Stevens?" "Hello, I'm Zhang Mingliang." Zhang Mingliang introduced himself. Stevens stood up and shook hands with Zhang Mingliang. "There has been news about the Nets acquisition these days. I didn't expect the new general manager to be younger than I thought. Nice to meet you. That is, the acquisition was announced to be completed, so I had the opportunity to meet Coach Stevens." "Nonsense, I didn't come to talk about coaching the Nets. Could it be that I came to talk about sponsorship and give money to Butler University? Then it's better to contact the school. Why should you contact Stevens?" "Coach, do you know anything about the Nets?" Zhang Mingliang asked. After receiving the call from the staff, Stevens studied the video carefully, and immediately replied, "How do you say it? Most of your games this season are not worth analyzing, but the composition of the players is not worth analyzing. Come on, I have some ideas." Stevens was also very direct, but in the latter part of the season, the Nets were basically rotten, trying to increase the team's transaction value with a number 1 pick. In this case, any analysis is false. If you refer to last season, you shouldn't use you because I'm not in it yet. When it comes to next season, I hope you use we. Zhang Mingliang said clearly. Haha. Stevens smiled. The Nets lineup needs a large-scale change of blood, and if you want to achieve good results, you can't achieve it in a year or two. Do you want to do it? We two young people, lead a brand new team, and reach a higher level together. Zhang Mingliang emphasized the word young people, telling Stevens that he would follow he is in the same camp, and no one will disobey him because of his age. To be able to coach an NBA team is every coach's dream, especially a young coach, but Stevens is still a little worried and asked, "What I want to know is whether I can carry out my work smoothly? What rights do I get?" "You will get all the rights that belong to you. No one will come to tell you about your formation. You have the right to veto the introduction of players and transactions. Nets, you may not be able to sign every player you want, but I will definitely not put anyone you don't want into the team. Stevens's level will be recognized by everyone in the future." Zhongming Liang put his treasure on him, "at least a good choice. Since you have said so, I am very willing to coach the Nets. When do you need me to take office? There is also a salary to be discussed. Once the acquisition plan is successful, you can take office immediately. In terms of the contract, it is 15 million yuan in 5 years. What do you think?" Stevens was speechless. Unlike European football, NBA teams don't poach coaches from each other. As a coach, they usually don't jump to other teams if they work well with the team. So the general coaching contract is 3 to 4 years. If a rookie coach or a firefighting coach can only get a 2-year contract. I am very satisfied with the annual salary of $3 million US. 5 years is enough for me to make achievements. Both the salary and the length of the contract are reassuring for Stevens, and Stevens smiled with satisfaction. "Shake hands with Zhongming Liang. Okay, I want to tell you one thing here, don't worry, I will support you in your work." After parting with Stevens, Zhongming Liang walked out of the coffee shop with a sense of accomplishment in his heart. It has been a while since he came to this world, and Zhongming Liang has never been so excited. Stevens, but one of the cornerstones he selected for the Nets. The media industry in the United States is highly developed, and Zhongming Liang and his Nets are the latest focus. On days without games, inevitably, his movements are closely watched by the media. Stevens, new Nets head coach, ESPN took the lead in exposing the news of Zhongming Liang's meeting with Stevens, and broke the news in advance when Zhongming Liang and Stevens had not officially signed a contract. "In my previous life, I knew that these media had their own sources in various clubs. What WOJ, Shams often broke the news before it was announced on the official website. I didn't expect this to happen to me." Brad Stevens, who began serving as the head coach of Butler University in 2007, took the underappreciated Butler University to become the biggest dark horse of the NCAA in just 3 years, and made it all the way to the NCAA general manager. In the final, because Hayward missed the last blow, he lost by 1 point to the traditional giant Duke University led by the old Coach K, and was the runner-up. Although he only won the runner-up in the end, for Butler University, which has never made a breakthrough in the NCAA in the history of the school, this year's experience is enough to go down in history, and the 34-year-old Stevens has also become well known in the college basketball world. Rising star. Once the news of Zhongming Liang's appointment of the young Marshall as head coach came to light, it caused an uproar. Young. This is the first impression of the media and fans, describing both Zhongming Liang and Stevens. Far away in China, the young and handsome Zhongming Liang received the title of Young Master by Nets fans as early as after the press conference, and after the news of Stevens taking office was exposed, the fans also gave him a nickname, Baby Boy. The young Marshall is not enough to describe Stevens. He is not as old as some active players. Fortunately, the United States does not pay much attention to seniority rankings, but no one is optimistic about the prospects of the Nets because of the ages of Zhongming Liang and Stevens. In the end, performance is the last word. As far away as China, fans matched the pair of young monarchs and strategists with a pair of brothers and sisters in history, calling Zhongming Liang Sun Ce and Stevens Zhou Yu. What do the protagonists who traveled to the NBA in other novels build their teams most relied on? Of course it's a show. However, Zhongming Liang is very sad. In 2010, he took over in 2009 and 2011. The quality of the draft can only be said to be quite satisfactory. But fortunately, the Nets have 3 draft picks this year, number 3, number 28, and number 31. The number of draft picks is relatively sufficient, so they can still do something about it. In my basketball philosophy, the distinction between positions will be more blurred. It can be roughly divided into a core guard, 3 wings, and a rim protector. Using the gap of the wings to shoot space for power forwards in the traditional sense, increase the space on offense. And on the defensive end, it's more pressing and more rotation. My personal favorite for the 3rd pick is Paul George. He's a great shooter, both catch and hold, he's able to make the ball in difficult situations, his physical strengths to make steals. Definitely a wing player for any basketball system. The overall quality of the 2010 rookies can only be said to be average. The only player who can reach the superstar standard is Paul George. This is also the only choice for the Nets, who are waiting for nothing. George's current draft prospects are roughly between 10 and 12. If the son of the plane is bold, he may choose to use the number 3 pick for the number 6 or 7, and earn him another first round. But Jong-Ming Liang did not dare to do so. As a result, this year's rookies, in terms of strength, can be used as the cornerstone to cultivate Wall, George, Cousins, and at most Hayward. Wall is scheduled to be the number 1 pick, but the Nets can't even choose him. Cousins has a weird temperament, and his position overlaps with Lopez. Choosing him is a waste of resources. As for Gordon Hayward, Stevens' favorite at Butler University, it took Jazz 3 or 4 years to cultivate him in his previous life. For Jong-Ming Liang, the effect was a bit slow. Although Paul George was only selected as an All-Star in 2013, it was largely because the Pacers had a similar style of play Granger, and his training was gradual. The Nets are currently in a rut, and they can give him more ball power to exercise in the early stage, which will catalyze George's growth to a certain extent. Choose George firmly, and let's talk about the rest. Paul George does have great talent. I have no problem with choosing him with the 3rd pick. Compared with talent, Stevens values George's addition to the weak position of the team's striker. If the team drafts after the 6th, he may be more inclined to his favorite Hayward, he can better understand his tactical intentions. But the top 3 picks are all used to gamble on talent, and George's hardware conditions are better than Hayward's. Fortunately, Jong-Ming Liang and Stevens have reached a consensus. He is really afraid that Stevens will have to choose his favorite general, Hayward. There are differences in the first cooperation, which is definitely not good. Oh man! Fortunately, Stevens is still very reasonable. In the selection of the 3rd pick, Jong-Ming Liang and Stevens have little difference. But how to choose between the 28th and 31st picks is more difficult to say. In addition to the above-mentioned 4 people, there are still a lot of good role players in this draft, such as Larry Sanders, Eric Bledsoe, Avery Bradley, Hassan Whiteside, Lance Stevenson. These players, all played well in the league and got contracts that exceeded expectations. Especially the latter 2, according to the process of the previous life, the Nets draft right can intercept 2 people. Jong-Ming Liang naturally also targeted Whiteside and Stevenson. A point guard, a power forward with shooting ability. Stevens raised his needs outside of George. After a careful study of the Nets game footage from last season, Stevens was a little dissatisfied with Devin Harris, the starting point guard, especially on the defensive end. Coach, just talking about shooting ability, Yi Jianlian should be able to meet your needs. Jong-Ming Liang reminded when he heard Stevens' emphasis on shooting ability. Shooting is one of the selling points of Yi Jianlian's foothold in the NBA. Shaking his head, Stevens was not satisfied with Yi Jianlian. I need a power forward who can provide more accurate shots and tougher defense. Such a player may be hard to find in the draft. Let's take a look at the free agent market. With shooting and defense, Jong-Ming Liang thought of some names, but they were not in this draft. Sitting on a luxurious leather sofa in the VIP private room of Madison Square Garden, Jong-Ming Liang was surrounded by Nets president Will Craig and head coach Stevens. It was the first time to attend such an occasion. To tell the truth, Jong-Ming Liang was still a little nervous. Fortunately, the attention of the people around him was all focused on a large LCD TV in the room, and no one noticed Jong-Ming Liang's strangeness. Appearing on the oversized LCD TV is the figure of David Stern. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2010 NBA Draft. In the video, Stern was still giving his opening speech when the phone in the room rang. Under Jong-Ming Liang's suggestion, Will Craig walked over and connected the phone. Sure enough, he came to inquire about the number 3 pick in the hands of the Nets. The Golden State Warriors want to use Monta Ellis as the main body of the transaction to trade our 3rd overall pick. Will Craig did not reject the deal on the phone just now. From the perspective of the transaction value, it seems that there is talk. Monta Ellis? The scoring ability is indeed very good, not to mention efficient, but it is indeed versatile, and it is also the kind of scorer that does not compromise in the playoffs. But the shortcomings are also more obvious. First, the offense mainly relies on singles, and it is not stable. Second, the physical quality is average, and the defense can provide too little. It is not in line with the idea of Jong-Ming Liang and Stevens to build the team. If the Warriors are willing to use Stephen Curry as a bargaining chip, then we can talk. In addition, I will not trade the number 3 pick for others. Jong-Ming Liang replied. Others' perception of the number 3 pick in the Nets' hand is just a 3rd overall pick in a year of moderate draft quality. The specific point is the potential insiders like Favors and Cousins, and Jong-Ming Liang's recognition of the value of this pick is Paul George, who can reach the league's top 10 level in the future, will definitely not trade unless he has more attractive chips. They want Stephen. After receiving a response from Will Craig, Warriors general manager Bowers reported to head coach Don Nelson. Daydreaming. Don Nelson's words were not so elegant, and the words beginning with F were spit out. In the summer of 2008, Baron Davis was poached by the Clippers, and the hot Golden State quick hit came to an end for a while, and the Warriors, who lost their commander, also fell into a period of darkness. But in 2009, Nelson Sr. found a point guard who was more suitable for his philosophy than Davis, Stephen Curry. Although the team's performance declined last season, Stephen Curry's adaptation to the league and his own progress are obvious to all. Even the number 1 pick, it is impossible to take this treasure away from Donald Nelson. Of course, there are also some other offers for the 3rd overall pick, but the value of the chips proposed is not enough to impress Jong-Ming Liang and Stevens. After Stern's speech, the draft began. The selection of the Washington Wizards with the number 1 overall pick is point guard John Wall from the University of Kentucky. As for this year's number 1 draft, there is basically no suspense. Wall is even better than Derrick Rose's physical test data, and his excellent performance in college makes his status as the number 1 pick deserved. Wall took the Wizards' hat on stage, shook hands with Stern excitedly, the camera's spotlight flashed frantically, and the reporters had begun to write quickly. Evan Turner was selected 2nd overall by the 7-6 ERS. This is not good news for a forward and guard swingman whose template is McGrady. The 7-6 ERS have Andre Iguodala and Thaddeus Young, the 2 main strikers, and the outside shooting that this team lacks the most is also Evan Turner's shortcoming. To become a main player, Evan Turner needs to do a lot. After the draft results of the 2nd place pick, Jong-Ming Liang personally handed the Nets draft envelope to the league staff. The choice for the 3rd pick from the New Jersey Nets is. Stern paused for a moment and continued to read, Paul George from Fresno State University. What? Paul George. When they heard the name, most people were blinded. In the previous predictions made by various media for the draft, most of Paul George's rankings were in the range of 10 to 12. The highest predicted pick was only the 8th pick. A flower show? Go crazy! Paul George himself was also greatly surprised. Whether it is his agent or the media, most of the estimates for his draft are outside the top 8, and he does not even rule out the possibility of falling out of the lottery. With a hint of consternation, George put on the Nets baseball cap and came to the stage, enjoying the envy of everyone. Regardless of the team's prospects, at least being in the top 3 is an honor. Congratulations, child! After a simple hug and taking pictures, George walked off the stage with mixed feelings. Although Zhang Liang, a scrambler, was at fault, the Timberwolves, who were known for their indefatigable destruction in their previous lives, were still unrepentant, and the 4th pick was left to Wesley Johnson. With the 5th overall pick, the Kings struggled for a long time between Favors, who fell unexpectedly, and Cousins, who was originally planned, and finally selected Cousins. The Warriors, who originally proposed to the Nets to trade the 3rd overall pick and were ready to select Favors, were overjoyed and found a bargain at the 6th overall pick. At this time, Zhang Liang's attention was no longer paying attention to the draft, but made a phone call. Through Will Craig's contacts, Zhang Liang got in touch with the management of the Timberwolves, Bucks, Bulls, and Thunder, and tried to trade for the 15th to 18th picks. And the chips he is willing to come up with include this year's 29th pick, Devin Harris, Courtney Lee, Terrence Williams, and others. The Bucks and the Bulls took the lead in rejecting Zhang Liang's trade request. The Nets didn't have enough chips to impress them, and the two teams each had promising rookies that had not yet been selected. Although the Thunder's Presti did not explicitly refuse, the chips he chose to ask the Nets for not only the 29th pick, but also a future lottery-protected pick. If 2011 and 2012 fail to materialize, then the pick will automatically be split into 2 second-round picks in 2013. In all fairness, Presti's bargaining chips are quite reliable, whether it's the protection of the draft or the age of the draft pick, it's not aimed at cheating people. But Zhang Liang, who knew the quality of the 2011 draft, was reluctant to give up his future first-round pick. Let's look at the request of the Timberwolves first. Seeing that Zhang Liang was a little hesitant, Stevens suggested. Devin Harris was traded with the 29th pick in the first round for Alexander Pavlovich plus the 16th pick. This is the trading chip proposed by the Timberwolves. Although they did not ask Zhang Liang for future draft rights, they grafted Pavlovich's two-year premium contract of $12 million to the Nets. At the same time, before Rubio landed in the league, find a competitive opponent for Flynn. Devin Harris was an all-star 2 years ago, but his style really isn't the type that Stevens appreciates. Zhang Liang also listened to his opinion before trying to trade draft picks to select a candidate who, in his opinion, might meet Stevens' requirements. The white shooter Pavlovich has a serious decline in athletic ability, and the contract price is very bad, but the Nets have enough salary space in the next 2 years, and it is not bad to use it to fill the poor ghost line. What about your opinion, coach? Zhang Liang was already moved, but out of respect, he still needed to ask Stevens. Touching his chin, Stevens showed a satisfied smile. I agree with this transaction. The Minnesota Timberwolves with the 16th overall pick selected Eric Bledsoe from the University of Kentucky. Bledsoe, 6 feet 1 inches, 190 pounds, athletic guard with great physical strength, strong and fast, fierce on the ball defense, frequent steals, wingspan enough to mark wings. One of the advantages of this type of player is the adaptation to the NBA soon. Stevens is a coach who attaches great importance to both offensive and defensive ends. Bledsoe's explosive physical fitness and outstanding defensive enthusiasm are very suitable for his appetite, at least, more valuable than Devin Harris. The draft is still going on, but the Timberwolves and Nets officials have silently put up a news item. The Timberwolves sent Bledsoe with the 16th overall pick, and the team's forward Pavlovich received Devin Harris and the 29th overall pick from the Nets. When the draft is in progress, it is also a time period when transactions are frequent. Every year, there are countless wonderful tricks and misunderstandings. In this year's draft, as of now, no transaction has occurred, which is really surprising. In this case, the deal between the Nets and the Timberwolves, the first to break the balance, immediately received special attention from experts, especially the Nets, who just changed owners, quietly in this year's draft. The conference has made two big news, which is really in the mind of the experts. Experts who have just expressed their incomprehension about the Nets' selection of Paul George, expressed their approval for this transaction between the Nets and the Timberwolves. Johnny Flynn's performance last season was not satisfactory. With Rubio still undecided on whether to land in the NBA in the new season, he hired Devin Harris and Flynn as point guards for double insurance. Clearing Pavlovic's 2-year contract at the same time is a good decision. The Timberwolves already have enough potential and don't need Bledsoe's talent urgently. The Nets trade is obvious, and the purpose of the trade is to emulate the Thunder. The idea of building a team is to give young people enough time to cultivate and rebuild. From the perspective of team composition, a point guard with great physical fitness and a passionate style of play, a slender and a swingman with outstanding shooting ability, Bledsoe and George really have the meaning of two thunderbolts. If the two of them are really let loose for a few years, it is estimated that they will be able to make some achievements in the East. The first round of the draft came to an end soon, followed by the second round of the draft. With the 31st overall pick, the Nets selected Marshall University's center Whiteside, also known as Big Whiteside by fans. Whiteside is a typical late bloomer. He was selected to join the NBA in the second round of 2010. During this period, he drifted around, and even played in the CBA. It was not until the 201,415 season that he made his mark on the Heat. Compared with his expectations for George and Bledsoe, Zhongming Liang is clear that Whiteside needs more time to carve, and whether he can play during the rookie contract period is unknown. But at least he can provide height to protect the team's penalty area. If there is no better choice for the second-round pick, at least he won't lose money by betting on Dababian. Paul George, Eric Bledsoe, Hassan Whiteside, this is Zhongming Liang's first draft win. Zhongming Liang and Stevens got the players they wanted. A few days after the draft, the Nets officially signed the trio to rookie contracts. As the third overall pick in the first round, Paul George's contract is very well protected by the league. It is $17.48 million for 4 years, $3.97 million for the first year, and a team option for the third year. Bledsoe's contract is 4 years and $14.69 million, which is also a 3+1 model. In the second round, Hassan Whiteside's treatment was much worse, with an average annual salary of $1 million for 3 years. Although only one pick lower than the 30th pick, the guarantees of first-round picks and second-round picks are indeed very different. After the signing ceremony, Zhongming Liang, as the general manager of the team, also personally attended the players' joining press conference. The three rookies all held up their new jerseys and smiled at the reporter's photo. A large amount of beautiful knives entered his account. For this group of poor boys who are worth millions in the future but are still penniless, the excitement is inevitable. However, the focus of the reporters participating in this press conference was not on these players, but frequently talked about a topic, the China Games. Up to now, the league has not sent us the schedule of the preseason, so I have no way to determine whether the team has the opportunity to participate. Zhongming Liang replied. But personally, I'd be more than willing to go back and see. Coach Stevens, the Nets' young players currently occupy the vast majority. In addition to the 3 rookies who joined the team in the draft, the team's lineup includes Brook Lopez, Courtney Lee, T. There are 3 players in the rookie contract period of Lunso Williams. A reporter asked, "Is this lineup too young? Is the goal of the team next season to cultivate young people? Ability is not directly related to age." Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com. Stevens replied with a smile, "Youth is not the capital of our mistakes, these young people have done a good job against experienced players. I'm ready, I'm ready." Rotten? Stevens didn't think about it, never thought about it. As players join, players will naturally leave. The end of the draft also means the opening of the free market. On June 30, the free market officially opened. Chris Quinn, Kenyon Dooling, Chris Douglas Roberts, Trenton Hassel, Jarvis Hayes, Najera, Tony Batty, Josh Boone, 8-player contracts expired, except for Najera, who got an offer for the team's veteran base salary. The other 7 players did not get Stevens' favor, and the fate with the Nets also came to an end. Because of the departure of these players, the Nets have freed up a lot of cap space. In addition to the 3 rookies, the contract still held by the team only includes Courtney Lee, 2 years, $4.5 million, Pavlovich, 2 years, $10 million, Bobby Simmons, 1 year, $9.5 million, Teresa Williams, 1+2, team option, $6.9 million, Yi Jianlian, 1 year $3 million, Najera, 1 year $1 million. Brooke Lopez, 2 years, $7.2 million, has a salary space of more than $30 million, and the maneuverable space to strengthen the lineup is quite large. Knowing the weakness of the team's lack of attractiveness at this stage, Zhang Liang directly gave up the opportunity to talk to James, Wade, Stoudemire, and others, and focused on chasing players who might come to the Nets. The first person he met was Pelinka, the well-known agent in the league, and the target of the consultation was the opponent's all-star power forward, Carlos Boozer. Because he is in the Utah Jazz and has twice become a stumbling block for the Huaxia Kuomintang team in the playoffs, Boozer can be said to be a love-hate player in the hearts of Chinese fans. But most fans definitely recognize Boozer's ability. Whether it's the regular season or the playoffs, Boozer's devastation to the Rockets' interior is shocking. And in fact, Boozer not only bullied the Rockets' inside line, but also deserved recognition for his performance when facing the Warriors and Spurs in the playoffs. The person who can restrain him the most is the Lakers' Gasol, who is not known for his defense. However, the flaws are not hidden, and he can firmly occupy an all-star position in the West with strong players. Boozer deserves a big contract from the Nets. And his tough back play, awkward but particularly accurate mid-range jumper, and high-position coping skills honed in the Jazz are still very satisfying for Stevens at this stage. Zhang Liang also raised concerns to Stevens, worried that Boozer's role will decline if he leaves the pick-and-roll strategy, but Stevens dispelled this concern, and he is confident to use Boozer well. Right now, no matter whether there is a show or not, almost all teams focus on James, Wade, and others. Except for the parent team, the Utah Jazz, who are actively discussing contract renewal with Boozer, the enthusiasm of other teams is not equal. Not high, and therefore, the Nets easily met with Boozer himself. "Nice to meet you, Mr. Zhang Liang," Coach Stevens. Under the introduction of his agent Pelinka, Boozer reverently shook hands with Zhang Liang and Stevens, but he was very proud in his heart. In Boozer's opinion, the dilapidated Nets need an inspiring name to regroup, and Zhang Liang, who has just entered the NBA, is his best negotiating partner. The Utah Jazz have offered Carlos a 5-year, $80 million contract. In our opinion, this is almost the value of Carlos to the team. Akito did not speak secretly, Pelinka threw an unknown true and false news, he opened his own conditions, in the Nets, Carlos can do more. Of course, in the reinforcement plan proposed by Coach Stevens for the team, Carlos is the top name. I also look forward to the inside combination of Carlos and Brooke becoming a force that cannot be underestimated in the league. Following Pelinka's words, Zhang Liang promoted Boozer, which made Boozer even more proud. "In my opinion, when I partner with Brooke, there will be a chemical reaction of 1 + 1 greater than 2, especially on the offensive end," Boozer himself said. The Jazz are famous for their pick-and-roll tactics with Darren, but in fact, in the past 2 years, the Jazz's strength has declined a bit, especially on the offensive end. Boozer also showed a very comprehensive skill. "Our contract for Carlos is 4 years and $64 million, with a team option in the last year, but there will be a $4 million guarantee clause in it. At the same time, the contract also includes a 15% transaction guarantee. Will Cray. Halfway through Greg's words, Pelinka's face was a little disappointed, but when it came to the final part of the transaction margin, the situation was very different. Regarding the trade guarantee, the extreme point is that if the Nets trade Boozer immediately after signing him, then Boozer can not only get the full salary in the next house, but also take $960 from the Nets. The fee of $10,000, this clause, is a protection for the stability of the player's career. Players are also human beings, and no one wants to be used as a bargaining chip every day. This contract is a lot worse than the Jazz's offer, Pelinka said bluntly. The average annual salary is basically the same, but the length of the contract is 1 year short, and the total contract value is also quite different. Taking into account the age issue, this is the last big contract of Boozer's career. With a high probability, he will still choose the contract with the largest total amount. But did the Jazz really offer such a superior contract to Boozer? Zhang Mingliang was not very convinced. In addition to the title of Yao Ming's nemesis, another adjective of Boozer is more deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. If the Jazz had offered him a max salary, he wouldn't have left. We need to think carefully about this contract. Zhang Mingliang and Stevens did not respond directly. Pelinka could only put away her little tricks and discuss it with Boozer. That's natural. We can talk about the specific details. Pelinka's reaction explained some problems. Zhang Mingliang had a bottom line in his heart and felt more at ease. Returning to the team, Zhang Mingliang immediately issued instructions to Will Craig, on the basis of ensuring that the 3+1 contract period remains unchanged. Other parties can make some concessions for Pelinka. At the same time, the team and several other players can make concessions. The engagement and pursuit of target tasks need to be accelerated. In the previous life, after Ross refused to recruit James and the Miami Big Three were established, the Bulls with a lot of salary space offered Boozer a 5-year contract regardless. The incompatibility made Boozer's big contract the biggest shackle restricting the Bulls' further progress. For Zhang Mingliang, the most important thing is to kill the contract before the Bulls intervene. After the free agency market opened, reporters are like sharks smelling blood, frantically inquiring about the gossip about these stars from various channels. UU reading www.uugonshu.com hopes to know some inside information in advance. On July 6, the first superstar signed an agreement. Yahoo Sports broke the news that All-Star power forward Amari Stoudemire signed a 5-year, $100 million max contract with the New York Knicks, officially leaving the Suns, and also announced the official end of the Suns era. The news of Stoudemire's signing seemed to open a Pandora's box. A day later, ESPN had an important piece of news that Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, two of the hottest free agents this summer, officially joined hands. Announced that they will play together in Miami next season. The alliance between the league's second shooting guard and the all-star power forward made people faintly see the rise of a tyrannical force, and the two pieces of fat in the free market instantly dominated, which also caused the eyes of the teams that failed to bid to start to lower their eyes. Players, including Carlos Boozer, instantly became popular. 4 years, $20 million, Kyle Korver joined the New Jersey Nets. Compared with the much-anticipated "Where's James going?", compared with the joint effort between Wade and Bosh, the signing of the Nets seems insignificant. However, Zhang Mingliang, who killed the 3+1 clause against Boozer's contract, is in Kobe. Wall directly issued a 4-year full guarantee clause, which shows the importance he attaches to Kyle Korver. The 0-3 generation of sharpshooters whose career length is second only to James will become more and more precious in the future when the three-point shot is more and more valued. Zhang Mingliang felt that this contract was very profitable. For Korver, the reason for choosing the Nets is not only the biggest contract, but also a promise that Stevens gave him. In the next 4 years, Korver will become an extremely important player in his tactical system, whether starting or coming off the bench. The wheel of history did not deflect its trajectory because of Zhang Mingliang, a little butterfly. On July 9, LeBron James, the son of choice, announced his contract with the Heat through a National Live special program hosted by ESPN, and will form the Big Three with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. Lineup. As soon as this news came out, it immediately caused violent turmoil in the league. No one expected that James, Wade, and Bosh would choose to stick together at their peak, and the Miami Heat became the league's favorite to win the championship in an instant. Number 23 vs. Number 24. In the past 2 years, this is the fateful matchup that the league has been pushing for. However, at the current time node, in addition to breaking Bryant's series of youngest records, James is simply not enough to compare with Bryant in terms of honor, which can be regarded as a magic obstacle for James. If you want to really smash the doubts surrounding yourself, only the championship. For this, James spared no expense. When everyone was shocked by the Heat's formation of the Big Three, the Nets' official website announced a news of the signing. Chinese point guard Jeremy Lin signed a contract with the team and will represent the team in the Summer League. It's not that Zhang Mingliang doesn't want to sign Jeremy Lin directly, but that this type of undrafted draft has its own channels for promotion to the league. First of all, you have to perform in trial training and in the Summer League, and it is only logical to give the contract yourself, and another purpose of this operation is to avoid the doubts caused by the skin color issue. Zhang Mingliang doesn't care. Jeremy Lin's salary is nothing compared to the Nets' budget, but because Jeremy Lin was given special treatment by the Chinese owner, he was plotted against by other players. Although he is a Chinese player, he is naturally favored by Chinese fans. But the news of James joining the Heat was so shocking that even Jeremy Lin could not shake the news of James. The Nets fans are more concerned about the negotiation between the team and Carlos Boozer. There has always been news that the Nets' contact with Boozer is very smooth. The All-Star power forward has spoken verbally. Promised to sign with the team. Although several promising rookies have been added, and the All-Star power forward has been finalized, these signings are obviously not enough for the Nets, who are waiting for nothing. Regarding the question of the new season's lineup, Zhang Mingliang, Stevens, and Will Craig sat together to discuss. The team already has Lopez and Whiteside in the center position. In addition, according to my assumption, Yi Jianlian also needs to be in this position at some time. I don't think there is any need to add any reinforcements. Stevens first expressed his views on the position of the center. Of course, if there are suitable candidates in the Summer League and trial training, they can also sign them and be prepared. Everyone nodded in agreement. How should I put it? There are no suitable insiders on the market right now. Stevens continued, let's look at the power forward again. Boozer is in his prime and has comprehensive offensive means. The combination with Lopez is worth looking forward to. Najera and Yi Jianlian should be able to serve as substitutes. In addition to these three, in addition to individuals, Stevens also plans to try Pavlovic's cameo power forward at certain times to open up the space tactics, but will not discuss it for the time being. Lopez, Boozer, Yi Jianlian, Najera, Whiteside, this set of insiders is not luxurious, but it is definitely enough without injury. Thinking of Zhang Mingliang's emphasis on Yi Jianlian, it is still guarantee his playing time and reduce the competition for the interior position. Yet, let's continue watching small forwards. Zhang Mingliang motioned for Stevens to continue. Stevens continued, the difference between shooting guard and small forward in my play is not obvious. I prefer to use the wing to express it. At the moment we have Paul George, Kyler Korver, Courtney in this position. Lee, Terrence Williams, Pavlovic, 5 players. Paul's shooting and defense meet my requirements, but after all, he is a rookie and needs time to adapt to the NBA, and the other 3 players have their own problems. Seriously. Kyler and Alexander have average athleticism, Courtney and Terrence are not very stable players. The number is enough, but it's better to upgrade. Does the coach have any favorite candidates? The Nets' record was so poor last season, and being beaten to death by others on the flank was an important reason. No one can guarantee that George will be able to hold up on both ends of the offense and defense in the new season. The team struggled for a while, but Zhang Mingliang decided to strengthen it through trading. Ariza from the Rockets. Stevens called out a name, and immediately received strange looks from Zhang Mingliang and Will Craig. Ariza didn't perform well in the Rockets last season, mainly because he was pushed out of the market and became the focus of opponents. I think he is just an ordinary starter. He is very suitable. Stevens explained. Road. Okay, Will, Tantan Rockets' words, if the price is right, you can consider a trade. Zhang Mingliang directly stamped this signing target. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com supports Stevens' choice. The position of the point guard is also the hardest hit area for the team. At present, there is only one player in Bledsoe. His passing awareness, game experience, and shooting are not qualified, and he needs an experienced veteran to lead the area. Stevens watched a lot of rookie game video, saw some surprises from Bledsoe, but also found some problems. I have a good recommendation for this position, Sean Livingston. Although high school players have been successful in the NBA for a long time, those are other positions. The first high school point guard to enter the league was Livingston. But unfortunately, in a game in 2007, Livingston suffered a serious leg injury and was abandoned by the Clippers after a year of rest. After that, he began his homeless career. However, at the end of last season, Livingston played the main force for the Wizards, averaging 11.2 points and 4.9 assists in his 18 starting games, showing signs of recovery. With a height of 205, Livingston has a natural height advantage at the point guard position. Playing any point guard is a dislocation. A skilled rollover jumper, good organizational skills, more than enough to serve as a substitute, and on the defensive end, Livingston can also be dislocated to the flank position. Really a fitting deal. Livingston is a player with a very unique style of play. To make good use of him, we need to spend a lot of thought. Stevens still accepts this candidate. What he is worried about is his health. As everyone knows, Zhang Mingliang has also figured this out. While Livingston can provide the Nets' tactics with changes, his body needs to be maintained. The training time of the game can be reserved for Jeremy Lin to exercise, killing 3 birds with 1 stone. In order to cultivate talents for the motherland, Zhang Mingliang has taken great pains. It was another sunny morning. Zhang Ming woke up early, ate a Chinese-style breakfast at the Chinese restaurant downstairs, and walked into the club's office building with a smile on his face. As soon as he entered the office, Zhang Mingliang immediately felt a different atmosphere. The staff gathered around in 2s and 3s to discuss something. What happened to the war? Zhang Mingliang asked suspiciously. Some things happened. As soon as he saw Zhang Mingliang, Will Craig shouted anxiously, holding the newspaper. What's the big deal? Zhang Mingliang wondered at the end of the newspaper. Boozer, go buy a Bulls jersey. Seeing the title, Zhang Mingliang knew that it was broken. The Nets were put together by Boozer, and the Bulls still succeeded in cutting off Who in the end. The text wrote, the Bulls officially announced the signing of All-Star power forward Carlos Boozer last night. The specific contract amount and tactics were not disclosed. However, according to sources, Boozer and the Bulls signed a 5-year $9,500 contract. The $10,000 contract. This is much higher than the previous contract offered by the Nets, which prompted Boozer to abandon the Nets and choose to sign with the Bulls. $95 million in 5 years. A full $30 million more than the offer given by the Nets. And from the perspective of team strength, when Boozer joined the Nets, the team was just a fringe team in the playoffs, but going to the Bulls to join forces with Rose, the team's book strength is enough to hit the 2nd place in the East, making this decision came naturally. Of course, it is understandable that this kind of perfidious behavior deserves to be forgiven. Boozer had been scolded by Cavaliers fans for several years with the Cavaliers owner Gund. This time, he repeated his old tricks, and it has become the target of public criticism on social media. Not only Nets fans, but almost everyone. NBA fans and even Bulls fans denounced his behavior. Fuck. Zhang Mingliang couldn't help but swear, and immediately began to make plans to make up for the loss. Will, inform Coach Stevens that we need to make an urgent plan for this matter. It has to be said that Boozer's breach of contract was a great blow to the operation of the Nets. At this stage, the predicament Zhang Mingliang is facing is that all the big fish in the free agency market have their own masters, and the team itself does not have enough chips to trade players. Using draft picks to trade? Zhang Mingliang was reluctant to do such a thing of drinking poison to quench his thirst. The quality of the 2011 draft is very high, absolutely not to be missed. In the conference room, compared to Zhang Mingliang and Will Craig, Stevens' mood was a little more stable. Will, regarding the Ariza trade, does the Rockets have any response? I talked to Daryl, and the other side is very demanding. They want our Courtney Lee and draft picks for next season. Will Craig reports. That's impossible. Zhang Mingliang directly vetoed, Ariza has no role in the Rockets, and his remaining 4-year, $28 million contract is a contract for the Rockets. You can continue to talk about it, and talk about other aspects. The pick is absolutely impossible. In the power forward position, my first requirement is to have the ability to shoot in space, and the second is to have the ability to defend above the standard. The breach of contract by Boozer has a great impact. Stevens was also a little distressed. And several favorite candidates are not operational. I have a candidate that I can recommend. Both Zhang Mingliang and Stevens were a little distressed, and Will Craig suddenly said, he used to be on our team, but he was sent by the team because of Carter's trade. Magic. Ryan Anderson, his shooting ability, was recognized when he was on the team. I'm not very familiar with this player, I need to see his video. Stevens said. Okay. I'll have someone bring it to you later. Stevens is not very familiar with it, but Zhang Mingliang is too familiar with the name. 3 points, defense, these two skills alone, Anderson is really good. Reaching out and patted his face, Zhang Mingliang asked, will the Magic trade Anderson? As far as I know, Ryan has performed well as a substitute for the Magic. But the Magic's starting power forward is Lewis. If the chips are right, they should be able to get it. Mr. Billion Lewis, who is also a well-known figure, is not going to let him be a substitute for this big contract. In this way, coach, look at the video first to make sure that Anderson meets your tactical requirements. Will, you try to connect with the Magic and see their asking price, and we will make a decision. A year ago, the Nets, aiming to rebuild around Devin Harris, traded away Carter, who had 2 years left on his contract, and Anderson, in exchange for Raf Alston, Tony Batty, Courtney Lee and pick. The deal proved to be a lose-lose for both parties. The 5 players involved in the transaction failed to play their previous role in the new owner. So, when Will Craig asked the Magic for Ryan Anderson this time, the Magic general manager Otis Smith asked for the same chip from the previous deal, Courtney Lee. For Courtney Lee, a player who can play well as a starter or a substitute, Zhang Mingliang also wants to keep him in the team. But whether it's Ariza's deal or the current negotiation to switch back to Anderson, Courtney Lee has become a bargaining chip for the opponent's call. Considering Stevens' needs for these 2 players, it seems that Courtney Lee is leaving. The team is a foregone conclusion. Out of respect for the players, Zhang Mingliang also called Courtney Lee and asked him to prepare in advance. A day later, the Nets reached an agreement with the Magic. The Nets sent Courtney Lee to the Magic for Ryan Anderson, plus the Magic's 2011 second-round pick. Although it is not a big deal, it is a timely remedy for the Nets. UU reading www.uuganshu.com. Courtney Lee was sent away, and the team's originally poor flank immediately appeared in a positional vacuum. Considering Bobby Simmons, there are doubts about whether Pavlovic will be able to top it next season. Zhang Mingliang also needs to find new wing players to fill out the roster. $7 million for 2 years. The second year is a team option. The Nets signed Livingston, who can serve as a point guard and can also swing to the number 3 position. This is the first step. On the third day after the Cleveland Cavaliers announced they were cutting Danny Green, the Nets hired the second-year rookie for a minimum salary. As a second-round pick in the 200,910 season, Danny Green played in 20 games for the Cavaliers in the past season, averaging 5.8 minutes per game, with little performance. Such a signing does not seem to be of great significance to the team. Zhongming Liang certainly understands that the current Danny Green is not the emperor who will be known as the 3D template in the future, but after being put together by Boozer, the operation of the team has indeed encountered some difficulties. Zhongming Liang can only use his own advantages. Do some more remedies. Even if the player Danny Green cannot be reused for the time being in terms of strength, at least in terms of attitude, he is extremely hard-working. Without this effort, he also won't be seen by Popovich in the future. Anyway, it's a water dispenser, isn't it better to use such a player who can swing the towel harder? With the Nets' 1011 season lineup, PG, Bledsoe, Livingston, Jeremy Lin SG, Korver, Danny Green, Terrence Williams SF, George, Pavlovich, Bobby Simmons PF, Ryan Anderson, Yi Jianlian, Najera C, Lopez, Whiteside.